Hello and welcome to Week 7's Jing for CAS 274M XML programming. Jason here, and this week we're going to take a look at XSD or XML schema definitions, which essentially XSD addresses some of the shortcomings of the DDT or document type definition. And one of the biggest limitations with the DDT is that we can essentially only define or work with basic string data types. And with the XSD, we have a lot more to work with because there's over 40 different built-in data types that we can work with. So it's definitely, we don't have the limitations that we have with DDT. So this is going to be useful for programming because, of course, with programs, we're not always going to be working with strings. We're going to be working with all kinds of data types. And also one of the good things about the XSD is over the DDT is that because we can be more exact with defining our data types, it's going to help us catch errors, like type errors. So for example, if we specified that an element needed to have a type of integer and we have a string value in there, the XSD is going to catch that, and we'll be able to kind of correct errors instead of, we're passing it onto a program and then, things are broken and we might be scratching our heads. So this week's lab, we were going to basically convert the DDT that we did last week and kind of upgrade it to the XSD. So I have my XML declaration here, that's normal. And the different thing about the XSD as well is that it uses namespaces. And what's good about namespaces is they're going to kind of avoid name clashes. And they also kind of help to provide some context to our elements, because we could have some similar elements here, some similar child elements. And us as the human user, we might take a look at it, but the machine, there might be some ambiguity there. So all right, so without further ado, we've got our namespace declarations up here, our root element, which is the poems, and all of my element types here are complex types because complex type elements can have child elements, and all of my the child elements of poems have children elements themselves. So we have Richard Corey is the first child of poems with an attribute of type. That's a string format. And then this XS sequence is going to basically dictate that these elements are going to appear as children and they're going to be in this order. So we have author, title, stanza, all string data types. Now with line here, line occurs several times in the XML document. So I want to specify that it occurred a maximum of 16 times, because if for some reason there was more than that, it would catch it, that error. So we have that for our first poem. So that's the sequence there. We're closing it out, closing out complex type. So then we have another element of complex type, limerick 1. And again, that has author, title, stanza, 5 lines. The third complex type is limerick with author, title, stanza, lines. And then we have our last one, the sonnet, with author, title, stanza, and 14 lines. And I basically tried to link the document. So let's see if it opens. So we do have the document here, so I think that it linked the XSD, but so that's what I have for this week. I'd like to thank you for watching the Jing, and we'll see you next week.